So I'm watching this little video on Zero Hedge. Capuchin monkeys reject unequal pay. And I said, I think I've seen this before. And this is so interesting because, again, we're talking about a monkey, all right? But basically what they're trying to say is they've done enough studies now with animals, in plain wild, jungle animals, anything, to where they can tell any social type animal basically knows when inequality is taking place, or as they say, unequal pay. And I'm going to show you this video in a second as I read through this article from Zero Hedge. But the title is "Sorry Losers: How the Fed Has Screwed the Many to Protect the Few," which, as you know, is true. The Federal Reserve has screwed the many to protect the few, i.e. the 0.1 percenters as well as the 1 percenters, the big banks, etc. So it says, submitted by Chris Martinson via peakprosperity.com. This is a good one, and I'll show you the video as I do this video as well. By its actions, the Federal Reserve has selected a precious few winners and many, many losers. Sadly, you are highly likely to be one of the losers. Sorry. I'm one too, if that softens the blow, or if it helps soften the blow. But we have a lot of company. Other losers include savers, anyone with money in a checking account, anyone with money in a savings account, anyone with money in a CD, anyone depending on bond income, all pensions, endowments, first-time homebuyers, renters, those who invest based on fundamentals, and everybody alive in the future when the bills come due. Anyone on this list has been intentionally pre-selected by the Fed for being the losers. The Fed has done this deliberately with full pre-knowledge that it was going to diminish the prospects of the majority in favor of the benefits of an elite few. And to make matters worse, it has no plans to, and no clue how to, reverse the damage it has wrought. Everyone on the list above has been dinged by the Federal Reserve on purpose and by design, I will repeat, in order to transfer wealth and purchasing power to big banks, the government, entities with large stock equity holdings, the big club, the wealthiest 0.1%, speculators, which includes them, borrowers, and the big borrowers, the heavier the better, and well-connected insiders whom the Fed tipped off in advance. This has, of course, not been lost on the 99.9% relegated to the loser camp. They are angry and growing more pissed off by the day. We see this anger playing out politically in the street protests and in growing tensions with the police. All of this is connected, of course. Soon, more and more folks will figure out the source of the growing inequality causing this anger, and the hot new trend of the future will be Fed bashing. So you might as well get in on the ground floor. It's got a subtitle here, Righteous Anger. As primates, we're all hardwired to expect fairness. Speaking of that, I'll give you an in-home Jason Epstein example. It's part of being a social creature. When we experience unfairness, we react the same way. This capuchin monkey is about to act, as you will see, although we might try to convince ourselves we do so in a more civilized manner. Perfect example. What did we get home? Excuse me, Nicole.
Emily, you gave her a camera.
Oh. So I have one of these quadcopters I bought a while back, and I wanted to change some stuff out on it, some motors, the propellers, so that this thing it's not going to be fast, but it gets up there and will stay up in the air longer. So I'm changing some things out, and it doesn't want to hover straight. It just kind of goes in this kind of circular, when I got on hover mode, it's kind of doing this. I think it's because of the ESC electronics. But anyways, when I bought this thing from someone, they included a whole bunch of stuff. Got a GoPro camera and all this other additional stuff, and wireless video transmitter, some cool stuff. And one of the other things was a little mini handheld camcorder, not real expensive, but kind of a probably an off-brand cheapo thing. And they did that so they can play back some of the video from the drone on scene, basically. Well, I found that thing sitting in a box. I'm like, oh, let me just bring this out, give it to one of my kids to play with. They always want to mess with the cameras and stuff. I have no use for this thing. So Emily gets one. Or, hey, Emily, play with this. So let's charge it up and you can play with it. Oh, cool. Can I have it? Yeah, you can have it. Oh, great. So she's playing with this. Her twin sister, not that it matters if twin or not, comes home instantly as the door is barely even shut. Is that Emily's camera? Yeah. Where's mine? Do I get one? Instantly. Social creatures, right? Let me play this little video for you if you don't mind. You're going to love this. Actually, YouTube can be kind of funny about copyright stuff with videos, so I'm going to link the article so you can go watch it yourself. But watch how the monkey reacts when he's being treated unfairly in his eyes. That's when that video was. So think about what he said. That's the Wall Street protest. Remember that? Occupy Wall Street. We're banging like the monkey. Hey, where's our share of this, trillions of dollars that the banks got? Where's our share? We're losing our jobs. We just want a freaking good paying job. Banging on it, shake the cage. Come on. Federal Reserve. Government, what's up? Nope. You lose. Again, title of this: Sorry, Losers. How the Fed has screwed the many to protect the few. So moving back on with this article. But really we're just as emotionally driven as that poor, deprived monkey when confronted with our own circumstances of injustice. While it's true that the world will never be completely fair, the conditions today are extremely ripe for provoking a lot of righteous populist anger. Watching big banks commit huge felonies time and time again, then get away with only paying fines that are mere blips on the earnings statements, it has been difficult for me to swallow, as it was for a large number of other people. The recent movie, The Big Short, does a good job of making your blood boil on this point. And I did see that, and I do recommend you see it. It was a good movie. It's basically based on the whole true story of what happened, by the way. Or noting all the instances where the wealthy and powerful skate by without any real charges or penalties for their crimes, while regular people, you and I, have the book thrown at them by the legal system. In fact, the rule of law in America today might as well be restated as the sliding scale rule, where the number and consequences of possible penalties that apply are inversely proportional to your net worth. Poor equals more, rich equals less. But of all the injustices being inflicted upon us, few are more pernicious than those being committed via the Federal Reserve's monetary policy. The Fed is playing God, picking winners and losers. And as I outline above, nearly all of us are the losers. Housing losers, next section. In the aftermath of the credit crisis, the Fed has been loudly telling us that if house prices go up, then the owners of those houses will feel wealthier and spend more, boosting the economy, or something like that. In truth, the Fed has been acting to protect both the mortgage holders, such as banks, mortgage companies, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, etc., and also its own portfolio of mortgage bonds. Few people realize this, but the Fed is the largest landlord in America. It owns more real estate by far than any other entity. And it goes to show, let's take a look at this little chart. 1.9 trillion, 1.78 trillion. That top green one says long-term treasury purchases. The second one under there, federal agency debt and mortgage-backed securities purchases. So remember when I keep talking about, $80 billion a month, $80 billion a month. $80 billion a month. Take one of those months and fix all the pension problems. Maybe 2 months. You might need a couple months. Take a couple of months and fix the pension problems. Take another month. Oh, we got problems with Social Security and this and that. No problem. Here you go. Instead, and I have to say, again, Lindsey Williams did say, his elite friend told him, this was several years ago, the Federal Reserve is going to be your mortgage holder. They are going to be your landlord. That's what Lindsey Williams had said. And boy, was he right. $80 billion a month in these mortgage-backed securities. And boy, do I have a story to tell you. Because I can continue going on with this article, but the point is already made. So I'm going to end this video with an interesting story. Now, we're going to say circa 2010-ish. Jason Ford, being awake as he is, seeing the true criminals in this society and in our country, the cause of the $800 billion TARP fund, the multiple trillions that went on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet to do kind of a backdoor bailout on top of the TARP funds, both domestically for those banks and foreign banks. They got their share too. Then we had our national debt doubling in the last 7 or 8 years. And as I just read you the article, nobody went to jail. No one's going to go to jail. And these guys get all the money while the rest of us suffer. So, me being a halfway intelligent guy, saw who was to blame. I waited. 2008, 2009. Who's going to jail? Who's getting in trouble for this? What's going to happen to my mortgage? What's going to happen to all this stuff? Nothing. You're going to bail them out. Okay, wrong answer. You're going to come up with $800 billion in TARP funds. Another wrong answer. You're going to add massive amounts of pork, federal government, to these bills so that you can get people on board, other Congress members to get on board and pass this turd. So filled with pork and spending and nonsense. Okay, not good. At least someone's going to go to jail. John Corzine happens, MF Global. Oh, he's going to jail. He stole money out of his allocated accounts, customers' accounts. You can't do that. Nope. Not a handcuff. Not him saying, I decided today to come here to Congress, this committee. In other words, you wanted me to come and I just decided to come. He kind of said it like that. Like, I didn't have to, but I came. And they're asking him the questions. And what happened with it? He said, I'd like to answer that. This is immediately after MF Global collapsed. He was the CEO, the top dude. And he was a former Goldman Sachs president years ago, by the way. Prior to him opening MF Global. I'd like to give you the answers to those questions, committee members, but I no longer work for the company. Therefore, I no longer have access to emails, statements, or anything. I'm no longer an employee. You owned the company. You were the CEO. Yes. No longer work there. Can't help you. Get him. Throw the book at him, guy. Nothing happened. So, 2009 rolls around. J-Step 4 has some credit card debt. What is the Achilles heel or tendon? The kryptonite, if you will, of the banksters. Precious metals. They don't want you touching them. Stay away. And old JP Morgan screwed me over in 2008. $20, $21 silver. Boom. $17 instantly. Straight down. No orders whatsoever. Straight down waterfall. We tried to put your stops. Your stops are in place, sir. But if there's no buyers, the stops are meaningless. Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I was a little new to this. Didn't realize that could happen. Yeah, it just happened. And just by chance, you just started playing this game, and it happened. Boy, what a coincidence. So the little profit I made, maybe $500, plus the $3,000 I had to put into this account to even play this damn game, is gone. Yes, that's correct. But you say here, I also owe you some more money. How is that? Well, because it went down so far, it's leveraged. You owe us another, $300 or something. And you have to wire it instantly, immediately. I said, listen, I'm going to go to the bank in the next day or so. You will get your money. I'm not rushing out of my job right this second to give you money for this margin call. Not happening. I was pissed, as anybody would be. So, JP Morgan, that's funny. I got a Chase card. I've got a Chase card and a Citi card. Wonder what would happen if I stopped making payments on them. And of course, when I tell you, when I buy precious metals, I like to put it on a credit card and then pay the credit card off. That time back then was no different, 2009 roughly. I'm going to buy some precious metals. And then a few months later, Jason at Ford ran into some financial troubles. I'm only human, right? Well, those 2 credit cards I own look good to stop paying on, financial troubles. They offered to settle with me. Nah, can't settle. Not good enough. We'll offer you 75% of what you owe. Nah, can't do it. Sorry about that. A couple weeks, 3 weeks, a month. 50%. We'd like to sell you for 50%. Nah, not good enough. Keep going. I feel like the Priceline negotiator. No, but come on, big shot. Go farther, deeper. Not good enough. Citigroup. No, not happening. Final offer, 25%. You got to pay it up, the settlement in full. 25% of what I owe, paid in. Yeah. Wire transfer? What I got? Yeah, wire transfer. No problem. I'll head to the bank tomorrow. I'll go ahead and pay it off. JP Morgan, on the other hand, 50% is the best we'll do. But the good news was I didn't know that much on the Chase card. JP Morgan, okay, settlement agreed upon. I'll pay that. And they, I think, allowed me 6 months in total to pay it off. Oh, sure, sounds good to me. Why give it up a lump sum? And I gotta be honest. After knowing what I know, banking crisis, these freaking rotten animals, it felt kind of good. I felt like I got something back. Federal government's not going to do it. Besides, I'm playing by the rules. I didn't break any laws, not whatsoever. Found some hard times for a little while. Just so happened to be when I owed those 2 credit cards. So I got that out of the way. Then I'm researching about these mortgages, and if you have a mortgage and it was on the electronic MERS system, it's supposed to be filed with the county. They don't do that. The banks decided we don't want to spend that money doing that. We're going to use one of our banker buddies' company called MERS and just record it there. But that's not the same as recording at the county courthouse. That's what you're supposed to do. No, we're going to record it there. Okay. And reading, if you have a MERS loan, you are pretty much one of these types of people. You got a good case, to win. They can't really foreclose on you, such and such. So I'm doing my research. I make the conscious decision, business decision. I've seen gaping holes in my paperwork. I had someone check into it online. This was years ago. They were an expert at this kind of stuff. Yep, you're in MERS and you got some major problems. You got some chain of title issues. Like they didn't sign off. And, remember they pass it. This guy passed it. That guy passed it. That guy. Yeah. Well, I just got a new letter in the mail. My servicer is changing, and now someone else is going to take over, make payments to them now. Okay. And then I got that, and then a few months later I got another one. Now they've changed it to someone else. It's freaking hot potato with my mortgage note. What the hell's going on here? So as you know, many of you know, I apologize to my new subscribers because you never heard this story, but I've told it. I quit paying in 2010 on the advice of some very knowledgeable people. Got in contact with a guy who was defending his own foreclosure against Wells Fargo due to some case law I was looking at that had him representing himself. Then I said, this guy really knows what the hell he's doing. Wonder if he'd be upset if I reached out to him. I thought, no way he'd be upset. He's just like me. Guy fighting for his rights, fighting for something. Okay, good. Call up. Lovely guy. Great conversation. Told me all about it. I had 2 kitchen cabinet companies. Very profitable. Business was fantastic. 2 different companies. And then 2005 happened. He says, I wasn't about to lose my house to these people that caused this problem. So he says, the good news is I have a job now. I'm actually working for a lawyer who specializes in this. He saw my case law just like you did and was impressed with me, wants me to work for him as an assistant. I said, well, that's fantastic. I'm so glad you got that job. That is awesome. So he says, yeah, if you need me to defend your foreclosure or this company, the lawyer, it's like $2,500. At the time it was $2,000. I think they raised it to $2,500 at some point. It's a one-time fee. You're pretty much guaranteed to be sitting in that house for 2 years. So what's my mortgage every month? $2,500 one-time fee. 2 years, 24 months times mortgage payment. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I'll be reaching out to you when I get my foreclosure served to me. Thank you. He advised me too, but I'd stop paying on it. You got some problems there. I'd stop paying on it. I said, okay. That was it. So I stopped paying. Gave him his money. As soon as I got served, because in Florida, this is a judicial state. There are states that are non-judicial states, which means you can't really fight it in court unless you bring the lawsuit. It's a pain in the butt. But in a judicial state, they have to serve you. Cost you nothing. So I got served ultimately, finally. But I'd already been living in the house 2 years by the time that happened. So it was like 2012. End of 2012. I'm like, okay, well, hey, I got the letter finally. The notice, not a letter, but served. Take over. Okay, send it, mail it to us. We'll take over. Okay, I'll give you your money. Here it is. Have a nice day. Long story short, a couple years went by. He said that we could easily prove they don't have standing to bring the lawsuit. That'll give you another 2 years. This was at the end of last year, by the way, 2015. That'll give you another 2 years. Wow, fantastic. But he said we're going to continue going forward with the case, and as we get closer to what's going to be trial, we'll see how things go and see if they try to pull anything. He said, but right now we can prove that they don't even have standing. He says ultimately what they'll do is find a way to get standing, and they'll do their dot their I's and cross their T's, and then they'll file the proper foreclosure, which they will have to then fight that one, just like we're fighting this one. But it'll give you at least 2 years. So we're getting closer, and he says, look, I'm going to advise you. He's going to cost you, it'll cost you, maybe it was an additional $1,000 or something. I forget. But he said something like, we need to put them under deposition. And he says, I'm just going to tell you, when we do that, they're not going to like it. Not sure what they're going to do. Hang on, make sure these cats aren't tearing up my couch. Stand by. All right, so sure enough, he fires off their letter of intent. We need to depose these guys. What day is good for you? Talking to their lawyer. What day would we be able to get these two guys, these people? Almost instantly. They'd like to settle with your client. I can't give you the numbers ultimately, but it was the largest cash for keys, as they call it, settlement this guy's ever seen. And told me, I'll be honest with you, he said, I know we can keep you there and all that, but to be able to walk, I said, well, let me do this. Wife wants out of the house bad anyways. House is falling apart. Septic tank's got problems. Small house. It was a starter home anyways. We want out anyways. We'll go rent. We don't care. We want out of this house. So I said, hold on. Tell them we're going to counteroffer that higher. Here's the amount. And then I want to make sure they agree to never come after me, judgment or any kind of, deficiency. He says, that's pushing it. He said, but I'll be honest with you. They normally don't ever include a deficiency waiver. He says, but I'll be honest with you, if you're just an average person, like I'm pretty sure you are, 99 out of 100 times, they never go after you. If you're a guy that's got a couple businesses, you got money, and they know you do, that's a different story. They're going to try to get it. This case, I doubt it. So I said, all right, well, let's see what happens. They didn't meet my bar raising of the amount, but they met me in the middle of where it was to where I wanted. And I felt like what they first offered was probably good enough anyways. So I got a little bit more out of it. And sure enough, deficiency waiver, we will never come after you. And then you agree never to come after us in relation to this house again either. Well, of course. Because once we settle, we settle. So I took it, as I said, took the money and run. So this was October 2015 that we signed the settlement, sent it off, done. Sir, you now have approximately 3, technically 4 months, because by the time the foreclosure goes through, it'll be another 30 days. So you get about 120 days roughly from today to live in the house, leave it in the condition it is currently at. You must leave all appliances, no problem. And leave the keys, send them to the lawyer, whatever. Yep, got it. Be out by 3 to 4 months. Okay. We find this house I'm in right now doing this video for rent. Big house. Love it. Beautiful. We're out. I emailed everybody. Keys are in the mail. Here's the tracking number. We're out. Good to go. Okay. So I'm looking at my credit score online. Naturally, it's not the greatest after doing that. But I keep seeing it still on there month after month. February, March, April, May, June, July. Shouldn't that be not outstanding? It should be like this isn't outstanding anymore. It's been settled. So I have to call Bank of America. Yeah, sir. They don't do that section, that department. We don't do anything with over the phone on that one. You guys send a letter in writing. Okay, give me the address. Got it. Sent a letter. Got a reply back. Sir, we received your letter. We are working on the issue, but this is confirmation that we got your letter. Oh, okay. And I think they finally went in there and said, okay, credit score system, get this guy out of there, because I saw my credit score drop 25 points shortly thereafter, which was very recently, by the way. So, whatever. Great. Now I can move forward. I can show 2 years after foreclosure. Everything's good. Money's fine. I can go get a mortgage potentially in 2 years' time. Again, I thought about all this in advance. So I get this letter the other day. Carrington Home Mortgage Services. Outstanding balance. You owe this. You're delinquent this. This is your new servicer. This is a defaulted, foreclosed on home that was settled. Settlement is gone. It's out of my name. I am off the record. And I just got a letter in the mail saying from Bank of America was the previous one. We're the new one. Start making your payments to us now. But of course, you're missing 5 years of payments now. Here's the total you owe us. Oh my God. So tomorrow, which is when you're going to be watching this video, I'm going to be making a phone call. Listen, you guys got screwed by Bank of America. I don't know how they transferred or sold you this mortgage, but there isn't a mortgage at all. There's nothing there. It was settled, cash for keys, as they call it. I took a settlement offer. They foreclosed. I'm out of the picture. It's over. How are you contacting me about this? I'll give you the answer. I'm going to tell you the answer. I don't have to ask them. I already know the answer. Remember when the Federal Reserve was buying all those $80 billion of mortgage-backed securities every month? Well, you also know how I always talk about the banks cooking their books. We have this many assets and this small liabilities. And it's actually reverse. Massive liabilities, tiny assets. That's the truth. So what they do is, and maybe they know the timing perfectly. Oh, we're going to get audited by some government agency or financial system, regulator, something or another. We know when it's going to come. So in advance of that coming, we take these trash, rotten assets, again, liabilities, and play hot potato. Dump it on this other entity. They're going to buy them all. Who in their right mind would buy what I just told you about? It doesn't belong to anybody now. It belongs to Bank of America. But you can't sell a mortgage to some other entity. There's no mortgage. There's nothing there. Now you could have sold the house to them and they could do what they want with it, but you can't sell the mortgage. There's nothing there. So I'm realizing now that I got this letter, They're playing hot potato with the garbage. And then they'll take it, and then a little while will go by, and it's time for them to get their little audit or whatever it is and look at their financial statements. Are you guys cooking the books? Oh, no, sir, we're not cooking the books at all. Take a look at our financials. Well, they look pretty good. That's because we just dumped all this garbage, non-paying loans or whatever, off to the next guy. And then they're going to get theirs, and it'll go back around in the chain again. I am certain that's what's happening. No one wants these garbage assets on their books because as soon as they stay on their books, they're instantly insolvent. Of course, most banks are insolvent from day one anyways, just because of fractional reserve lending. However, you add that garbage on there, game over. Anyways, hope you enjoyed that story. None of it was false. This is true JSNP4 life experience. Just told you. Take care.